Welcome to IAYTD and welcome to Word Up. Today we are discussing one term, but it's really three terms because there's different ways to use it. So we're talking about what it means to be a first-party video game developer. So what is a first-party video game? With first-party also comes second-party, third-party. So first, second, and third all mean different things in terms of video games and the people that create them. We're going to start with first-party developers because this is the easiest to explain. So companies like Sony and Microsoft, they own video game developing companies. So they own these developers. So they are owned directly by them and they create content exclusively for them. The company Naughty Dog, who owns the franchises Uncharted and The Last of Us, is owned by PlayStation. So they make PlayStation-only games. Retro Studios is owned by Nintendo, and they work on games like Metroid Prime and Donkey Kong Country, so is therefore a first-party developer. They're owned by and create content exclusively for those companies. Now, second party is a little confusing because some people debate if second party is even really a term, because how this originated was first party and second party. So it's like the person that creates the content and the person that's consuming the content. I am the second party. So in this case, a second party developer would be me or you, the user. So some people think that second party developers is mods or content that I create for a game. But that's not the way it's being used here. So some people agree with that definition, but the definition that we're going with, and really most people think of as a second party developer, is a company that is not owned by, but creates content for a certain console. So I'll start with the company INSOMNIAC. They create titles like Resistance and Ratchet and Clank. So they create those for the PlayStation, but they also have contracts to create games like Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox. So they're not owned by those companies, but they have contracts to create exclusives for those companies. So that is a second party. They make stuff, but they're not owned by. Sometimes a second party might become a first party. So for example, Sucker Punch created the game Infamous. At that point, they were a second party. They were not owned by PlayStation, but PlayStation was so happy with Infamous that they bought them and they became a first party studio. Lastly, we have third party. And third party is basically companies that create games for everyone. So these are the titles that you'll see across PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, Xbox. It's everywhere. They're just creating titles not exclusive to anyone. So for example, Activision creates the Call of Duty games available on all platforms. Electronic Arts creates games like Madden and FIFA available on all platforms. Third party can also apply to gear. So a third party headset developer creates headsets, but they're not the headsets that are created by Xbox or by Sony. They're other options you can buy that might work for everything. So I bought these headsets, they fit with Xbox, PlayStation, PC. They work with everything. So here are some examples of how to use first, second, and third party in a sentence. Sucker Punch is one of PlayStation's best first-party developers, bought after their success with the original Infamous. At conferences like E3, some third-party developers have their own press conferences like Bethesda and Ubisoft. The term second party is used colloquially, but it would really refer to software modifications created by the user or player, not a developer at all. It's complicated. So that is what that means. That's a little insight into how to explain video games and developers. Hopefully this was interesting. If there's other terms or words you want to learn about, put those in the comments and we'll try to get to them. Thanks for watching Word Up, and we'll see you next time.